Yo guys, today we're going to be talking about Dead Orbit. Now, this morning I was on Reddit. I saw that there was actually a link put up where Destiny Tracker had a bunch of different Dead Orbit, new Monarchy, and future War Cult weapons that are going to be brought to us, we're assuming, in the next faction event. So that makes a lot of sense. So essentially right now we're looking at the first batch, and then the next set of weapons will be the second batch. So I'm probably going to do the same thing even then, where I go over the arsenal of that week for each Dead Orbit, new Monarchy, and also future War Cult, and just kind of touch upon that. If you would like to go view that link, there will be a link in the description below. Again, spoilers, but if you just want to go ahead and see what weapons are going to be coming to us in the next event, you can go ahead and get a sneak peek of that. Now let's talk about Dead Orbit today. Now I received a bunch of these weapons yesterday and went in and decided to try them all out in Crucible. And I want to talk about Dire Promise right off the bat, which is the hand cannon. Now this weapon's got lightweight, which is an interesting perk to have on a hand cannon. It's also got triple tap and steady rounds. Triple tap's not necessarily something I utilize in PvP ever, but it is something that you can use in PvE. But in terms of PvP, how the weapon performed, I think Dire Promise is actually not a bad hand cannon. I talked about it before, but here's the thing whenever I talk about hand cannons in Destiny 2 thus far. Hand cannons, it's not that they're bad, okay? They're just not good. And in terms of Destiny 1, they are a far shot from the consistency that we were used to in Destiny 1. Even toward the end of Year 3, and the range and the damage fall off was so severe. At least you knew, especially if you were an aggressive player, the hand cannon up close would at least connect. You knew the shots would connect. Dire Promise, all it's in fault of is just right now, in terms of just hit registration. That's the only issue that this gun is at. And that's really what's plaguing a lot of different hand cannons. Now, can you get kills with it? Absolutely. The gun can definitely get kills. But can you win the 1v1 against something like Uriel's Gift with high caliber rounds right in front of you and the dude's sitting there shooting you? I would say no. Okay? Possible, but it depends on you and your gun skill. All it comes down to is hand cannons take a lot of flinch, and they're kind of in a bad situation. Dire Promise falls under that same category. If there was suddenly rework done to hand cannons and they had things like bloom reduced or outright removed, and they had a consistency there that was brought back, I would say Dire Promise would definitely find its way into my hands, and I would use it over many other hand cannons. Moving on, guys, to Three Graves, which is the pulse rifle. Now, if you are a fan of fast-firing pulse rifles, this is not the one for you. This is a very slow one, extremely slow. Now, there is two different sights you can go with this gun. You can go the Model 6 loop, which actually does pretty good for it because it's got good handling, or you can go with the Mark 15 lens. Now, that is a long zoom scope, and most of the maps we're on, we don't take advantage of such long zooms, and once you get into such a long ranges, you know, scout rifles are dominant in that area. But this weapon, I found the consistency with the Mark 15 lens to be so much greater, because whenever I use the Model 6 loop, okay, which is okay for a fast firing rate scout or fast firing pulse rifle, I find that the shots that I did miss, say I missed one of the bullets out of the three in the terms of bursting, that was okay. You know, something like Lincoln Green, it's okay. I just keep bursting and I can compensate for that. But in this, you want to make sure and maximize your hit consistency at all times. It's also got Outlaw, which is extremely nice. You know, it makes the weapon feel faster. Handling on it is extremely poor, and it even says it's a high impact frame, which is the intrinsic perk. It's slow firing, it's high damage. The weapon is more accurate when stationary, aiming down sights. So it almost puts you in a situation where it says, okay, this is not a weapon you're going to be strafing up and down a bunch. You know, you're not going to be running and gunning with this kind of gun. And so that's kind of how I felt about the weapon itself. It seemed to be much better whenever I would sit shop, and the sights that aided me to sit shop would be Mark 15 lens. Moving on to the sidearm, 11th hour. Now this sidearm is not bad at all. It's a Vice sidearm. It's got a perk on it called Rampage, which is kind of nice. Not always something I take advantage of, but kind of nice. I keep mine on an extended mag. Now the sights themselves, you know, you've got quick dot, you've got target, you've got far point. You know, I play with all of these. it almost seemed to me I just stayed with the one that gave me the most stability despite the range not being that great. Now, I did that because a lot of times whenever I even pull out a sidearm, I'm going to be up close. I'm going to be on top of you. I'm not going to try to far range you. Now, the intrinsic perk, of course, is lightweight frame. Superb handling. You move faster when the weapon's equipped. Definitely something that's noticeable. Helps you even more to close the gap, though, in situations where you got to get on top of people and strafe around on them. Now, the gun is not bad. The problem is with this sidearm, it's the same thing that plagues many sidearms in D2, is that there is a certain set of sidearms that already have it on lockdown. Avalon sidearms, you know, Last Hope, Last Dance, they're good. And 11th Hour, man, it's just got some hefty competition. Gravity Slingshot. This shotgun is interesting. It is a good looking shotgun, I will say that. It's got an aggressive frame. It's high damage, high recoil. The weapon itself, I just didn't have the kill potential that I would like it to have. You know, I put it on smooth bore essentially so that it had the best range possible. I kept it on accurized rounds to increase that range even more. But then it's got a trait on it called Field Prep, which is increased ammo reserves, faster reload, and crouch. And I messed around with that for a second in PvE. I just didn't really find it to be that great. There's not many times that I was taking advantage of that. The gun itself is just lacking, especially in the PvP sense. There's so many other shotties, you know, when you think of shotties that you should be using in PvP, Hawthorne really jumps up for me. That's for like, you want to make sure you get the kill. It is so fast, full auto shotty. It gets the job done immediately. But if you want like really high kill or high range kill potential, unification. You know, that shotgun we went over yesterday, it's got slug rounds, and man, can it map. Gravity Slingshot has a hell of a lot of impact, but it's got just too much burst. It's just got too much spread on it. And so to me, Gravity Slingshot is more or less just a PvE shotty. It is a good, I would say a decent PvE shotty. But again, that's up for speculation as well, because I use Hawthorne in PvE all the time as well for its fast rate of fire. Alright guys, so before I let you go, let me just show you the scout rifle that you would be receiving from the weekly victory, Haunted Earth. Now again, this is another slow firing, high damage scout rifle, and it has IS 5 circle sight. It's got a Model 6 loop sight, which I'm probably going to be more inclined to use over this IS, just going to mess around with it. It's got tactical mag, but also it has high caliber rounds, which is pretty nice. The high caliber round on that, I'll just have to mess around with it and see exactly how much it would flinch. It does lower its stability down, which is kind of a bummer. You also have Field Prep again as the trait, and I'm kind of just wondering what the thought process on Field Prep. I just don't feel it's ever a utilized perk in PvP. That just seems like something like, if I just want something to have fast reload, that would be nice. But again, this scout's already got pretty decent reload. I don't find myself intentionally sitting down, crouching, and reloading. Well guys, that's Dead Orbit, man. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Again, in the next faction event, there will be new weapons being brought to us. If you have not seen Future War Cult or New Monarchy, links of that will be in the description below, and as well as the cards above. You can always click on those videos. They're essentially Arsenal reviews just like this one. Fellas, thank you so much for coming and watching, and as always,